You're being asked to believe that this does not directly harm us because none of the gas is going to be coming from frac areas or watershed anyway. So what do we care? First of all, this isn't true. At a recent city council hearing on hydrofracking in New York State, Senator Gennaro asked one of the DEP scientists under oath whether there was any amount of money, any technology that would mitigate or protect our water system if something went wrong. The scientists said absolutely not. We don't have any money, we don't have any technology. Even if it was, though, how insulting. How insulting to think that as a New York City resident, I don't care about my neighbors. I don't care about my neighbors upstate. I don't care about my neighbors across the country.
Borough President regrets that he could not be here due to personal conflict. Borough President Mr. cannot support this project as it is currently. The basis for his opposition is the absence of a review of the cumulative environmental impacts of potential shale gas delivery through the pipeline by FERC, and a binding precedent agreement signed on December 28, 2009 by Spectre Energy Corporation, Chesapeake Energy Corporation, and Satellite Natural Gas. This agreement promotes the delivery of natural gas from the Marcellus Shale through this proposed pipeline. Gas that is obtained through the use of high-volume horizontal hydraulic fracturing.
I went and looked at the application that's for the project. And what struck me was that the justifications smelled very strange. We had very convoluted language about 80% of the 10-year growth in natural gas demand being downstate New York. Well, I went back to their source. In fact, their source, they cited with that statistic about the demand, the uptick in demand in New York City. The baseline was 2007. The peak was in 2010 in that study that they cited. In other words, they followed the application in December 2010. They're acting on a projection. Well, we didn't mention this in the application. They're acting on a projection that actually peaked in 2010 and then declined slightly throughout between 2010 and 2020. And before the January 26th original deadline for intervention, I actually read every single intervention that was there. And what I found was around 500, I think it was like 525, that around 500 interventions, every single, except for one individual, every single individual was against it, every single school was against it, every single municipality was against it, every single business developer or business organization was either against it or expressing serious concerns. Who wants this? I did notice that 24, 25 interventions in favor of all were gas except for the Public Services Commission in New York. And one was named as Liberty, the company. They said, oh gee, we really need this because it brings close to the proposed liquid natural gas facility that we want to build in the Bayonne. There are a few states in support by out-of-work union workers that really feel for them. I read that the pipe fitters, the carpenters, the people who pour concrete should be doing what Buck talked about, retrofitting buildings for energy efficiency. There's a lot more work than that.
This is on Greenwich Street in the West Village, 12 blocks from where we gather tonight, and even closer to where this pipeline will enter Manhattan. I'm the superintendent of the building in which I live, and I speak tonight in the interest of the 250 residents and shareholders of my building. We are all here to address the environmental impact statement. In this study are the probable impacts of this pipeline on fish and bats and soil and water and turtles and infrastructure, but there is little focus on the probable impacts on human life. There is no mention of the psychic damage of knowing that you're living on a time bomb. In your study, we, the residents of Manhattan, who are being cited as the reason this pipe needs to be built, are not even considered as possible collateral damage. To you, we simply do not exist. Or if we do at best, we are thought of as children. We are lied to, we are told that we need this, and that it is best for us. But we are not your children. We are your peers. We are your fellow citizens. We are educated adults. And if given truthful information, we can make informed decisions about what we feel is best for us, for our neighborhood, our state, our country, and the world. But we were not granted this courtesy. I was told at the CB2 meeting by a rep from Spectre that this pipeline could last for 50 years. He could not tell me what would happen after that. We know from September 11th that certain people wish us ill. We in this neighborhood know that better than most. And the developers know of this pipeline know that we are a prime target. CB2 meeting, there was hesitation letting people take pictures of the mess for that very reason, saying it was a security risk. I'm not a terrorist or the smartest person in this room, but this pipeline will be buried less than 5 feet under the West Side Highway, one of the most highly trafficked streets in the city. To make this visually obvious, I am 5 feet tall. This is how to keep the pipe out of the street. All it would take is one person with one bomb, and we are all collateral damage for corporate profit. I personally, and many of us here, have lived through one of the worst catastrophes in our country's history. We will not be put in that situation again, especially by our fellow citizens and elected officials who are alleged to be working in our best interest. This pipeline is a huge and dangerous step in the wrong direction. We have the technology now to power the planet with renewable and sustainable energy sources. We must begin working toward that end. I hope I am wrong for thinking that you will approve this pipeline, regardless of the testimony presented at this meeting, which could be written off as due diligence, regardless of the impact on the lives of thousands of humans, regardless of the potential toxicity, regardless of the threat of terrorism or catastrophe, and regardless of what you know is the ethically and morally right thing to do. Please prove me wrong and deny the permit for this pipeline. Yes!
It's very clear to me from the evidence that's been presented that radon gas, there's a strong likelihood of it coming into my stove every time I turn it on to cook. That is unacceptable. There are countless reasons why this should not be allowed. There are countless reasons, and we all know what they are, and you know what they are. And I'm wearing this suit today to make it very plain and clear to you that I am aware of what you would do and what you would know you would be doing if you approve this project. It would be an act of state-sponsored terrorism, and we know that you know it.
Number 20.
Mike Jack? I come here from Occupy Wall Street with many of my comrades here tonight. I came to Liberty Plaza to fight corporate greed and capitalist exploitation. The fact that this pipeline is even being considered after a similar one exploded in California and after the highly toxic effects of fracking has been exemplified over and over again is a prime example of the insane corporate and political disregard for life on this planet. There's no economy on that planet, and then no one can drink money. I don't need an iPod, I need to be able to breathe. Your regulations and standards for this pipeline are not safe enough. If anything goes wrong with pipelines or any of the fracking sites, which they do, soil and water are contaminated and our bodies are poisoned. Energy companies just walk away with a slap on the wrist, and none of this can be reversed. Please reject this pipeline, please reject hydrofracking. Let's not compromise on our fight for a livable planet. Shut it down.
I speak on behalf of thousands of students from PowerShip New York, tens of thousands of young people in the Energy Action Coalition, and hundreds of thousands of people who identify with the Occupy Wall Street movement. We are saying enough. Enough to corporate manipulation, economic exploitation, and ecological genocide. The proposed Spectrum pipeline is a stunning example of the type of disregard for public health, economic security, and environmental integrity that has sent millions of citizens into the streets around the world. The numbers expose the truth. The gas fracked with this pipeline will not provide us with so-called energy security. On the contrary, this dangerous infrastructure will create markets for export and pat the pockets of Spectrum executives at the expense of the safety and health of New York City residents. The threat of radon poses enormous risk for lung cancer. The threat of explosion poses even more dramatic and catastrophic consequences. I am a resident of the Hudson Valley. This pipeline will pave the way for destruction of upstate New York. Many of my fellow residents have been manipulated into signing leases on their lands. They want out. The fracking process threatens the water supply of 15 million Americans in the the Delaware River Basin. The environmental impact survey was paid for by the very company that would profit from it, the destruction of our communities. In Pennsylvania, fracking has left homes in ashes. Fracking has turned tap water into flammable muck. Fracking has increased cancer rates. Fracking has killed livestock. We are not willing to relinquish our health, our security, our water, and our ecosystems for the benefit of corporate executives. Enough is enough. Look around this room. Respect the integrity of democracy. The people of New York are here, and we have spoken. Block this pipeline. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Goldie. I'm from Occupy Wall Street. And we are occupying Wall Street because democracy in this country has failed. And if you guys have noticed, and women have noticed, not a single person has spoken for this pipeline. I mean, I thought maybe one or two you'd throw in just a hell of it. But actually, even down at the park, we're occupying very aware folk down there. We never heard of this thing until 2 weeks ago, until Gabrielle came down and told us this was being built. 2 weeks we canvassing the neighborhood. No one knows this is happening except the people in this room. I walked in here tonight, there were 10 people in here. 10 people. Obviously we filled it up with our friends here, great friends, but this is not a democracy. You can't do things like this. We're going to change that eventually, but for right now, you guys have to do something. What do you think would happen if you went door to door to this neighborhood with this proposal? Make serious. Make this happen. Has anyone talked to anyone in the neighborhood? Are you guys allowed to answer questions? Until democracy is restored in this country, please think about it. America's a democracy, isn't it? Right? Thank you.